In San Francisco, right in the heart of the American tech ecosystem, executives are quietly changing their daily habits. Recently, Mozilla's chief technology officer moved his daily workflow away from premium American AI models like Claude, handing those tasks over to a Chinese startup. He made the switch because a new model, called Kimi K3, feels faster and costs a tiny fraction of the price. This defection strikes at the core of the American AI business strategy. US tech giants spend billions training frontier models, keeping the underlying code locked away. They recoup those massive costs by charging high subscription and API fees for developers to access their systems. This premium access model depends on the idea that high-level intelligence is a scarce resource that only a few companies can provide. That scarcity is being tested by Moonshot, a Beijing-based startup. Their new Kimi K3 model is massive, with exactly 2.8 trillion parameters, the digital connections that determine how the AI thinks, and a working memory of 1 million text tokens. Plotting crowdsourced benchmark data, Kimi K3 matches the most advanced closed US models on coding and reasoning tasks. But unlike those models, K3 is an open-weight system. While training data remains secret, its underlying digital parameters are publicly available for anyone to download and modify. By giving away a state-of-the-art engine for free, these open-weight models bypass the artificial scarcity that US labs rely on to protect their profit margins. So how does a smaller foreign startup achieve frontier-level capabilities on a budget that is essentially a rounding error for an American tech giant? The answer might involve a technique called distillation. This is a standard industry practice where a smaller, cheaper AI, the student, is trained by studying the high-quality outputs of a massive, expensive AI, the teacher. Anthropic, the maker of Claude, alleges that Chinese labs are using this method illicitly. They claim these developers use Hydra clusters, sprawling networks of thousands of proxy accounts, to bypass geographical restrictions, query Claude thousands of times, and rapidly extract its reasoning capabilities. Beijing denies these claims, and technology transfer in AI often goes both ways. In fact, Anisphere, the San Francisco startup behind the coding tool Cursor, has acknowledged building parts of its product on top of Moonshot's earlier open models. In the race for global AI dominance, the line between open-source innovation and illicit extraction is incredibly blurry, making it nearly impossible to contain a breakthrough once it happens. But having the software for free does not mean running it is cheap. A 2.8 trillion parameter model cannot be booted up on a standard consumer laptop. Moonshot experienced this firsthand. Just 3 days after launch, they paused new signups. User demand crushed their servers, pushing past physical capacity limits. Despite those heavy hardware requirements, look at this chart tracking developer adoption. The lines for Chinese open-weight models like Qwen and DeepSeek show an exponential spike in global uploads of derivative models, far outpacing the growth rate of their Western counterparts. The code might be freely available, but the physical silicon required to run these models is the primary limit on who can deploy this intelligence. This creates a difficult puzzle for US policymakers. Attempting to ban or restrict the use of open-weight models is a logistical nightmare once the files are actively circulating on the open internet. Instead, the US faces two realistic options: heavily subsidize domestic open-weight models to compete on accessibility, or accept that raw AI logic is becoming a commodity and pivot to building specialized applications on top of it. It is important to note that the release of Kimi K3 does not mean China has broken through the absolute ceiling of American science. The very best closed US models still hold a slight edge in absolute reasoning capability. The American AI moat is being eroded by a flood of affordable, good-enough open-weight alternatives. The widespread adoption of Kimi K3 proves the immediate pressure is on Wall Street, not the Pentagon. For US tech giants, the era of charging a premium simply for providing access to a smart chatbot is rapidly coming to a close.